Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kṛṣṇa. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Brooklyn, New York, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center, New York, Kṛṣṇa. Welcome to the show, everybody. Still in Brooklyn, hanging out with the family.
Nice.
A really fun
family
day
time.
with my kids and my nephews and my brother. Yeah, it's like, it's weird. I grew up with my brother so intimately, my younger brother. And then it's amazing how time can just shift like that. And on a moment, I stopped hanging out with everybody. I just went my own way and had, my brother's a nice guy. Nice family.
Getting to know him again?
Not really.
Okay. Oh,
Just a nice guy. Yeah, I think just for my karma, I just had to sort of forge my own way. And that's why I think this philosophy helps me too, because we try to control our children, and we are desperately maybe being controlled by parents when we're kids. We just sort of need to find ourselves. We understand that sometimes things break apart quickly, sharply. And this is sort of how material world works.
okay.
You brought up anyway, that's what I woke up in pain today.
What? You were about to go somewhere.
I don't know where I went with it, but
Okay.
I don't know where I was going. I'm just I'm in a lot of pain today because I slept
What
wrong in my
pain?
whole
Back pain?
upper body. Yeah, back pain, neck pain, weird pain.
Oh.
That's where I'm at today. So we stayed another night, and I'm going to drive back upstate today.
You're going back up. I didn't know you were going back up.
Going back up.
All right.
I'm got to get Mara. Got to hang with Mara.
Well, I figured Mara would come down to meet you.
No.
Okay.
We're not leaving until the 31st. Yeah. Mara, any announcements, miss?
Yeah, we have
What am I missing up there?
Well, we have back to recovery group meetings today at 1 and 9:30 p.m. Eastern time.
I see Mara's looking all like she's chipper and ready to go.
Yeah.
She's sleeping fine up there.
Are you kidding?
It's true. Yeah.
She's in a big empty house. I was like, "Are you lonely?" She's like, "No, not at all." I bet it's crazy in that big house all alone. She's like, "No, it's okay. It's quite peaceful.
Peaceful.
It's quite peaceful."
All right. Okay, Robert.
She doesn't know where I stash weapons. I've got weapons hidden around the house.
There's always thinking axe under your bed, by the way.
You know what? It's just I don't know. I don't know if it's me or if all men think like this, a man thing. I keep weapons and I know where they are. They're sort of because I have turbo scenarios going through my head at all times. What if a person broke in through this door? What would I grab? What if a person came in the back door? What would I grab? So I just like to place things randomly, slightly hidden. So if you were to come over my house and see a pipe under the couch,
You would just think there's some pipe for some reason under the couch, but I know exactly where. Now I'm saying this, it sounds crazy, but I know I would love to hear on the message board if anybody out there hides various blunt instruments around their home. I know Jeff Eisenberg probably does.
Not only is he squirreling out, he's encouraging others to take the squirrel further.
No, I just want to see
lots of squirrels. Multiply the squirrels.
I'm just curious if other people are thinking like me, or if I'm a basket case. David Charles Wilson says none. Aaron has a golf club, maybe a hatchet next to his bed. Jimmy James, thank you, Jimmy James, validating me. Okay.
All right, let's get this going, Raghunath.
Third day.
Did Mary do the announcements? Or she did the announcements, yeah?
She did.
Yeah,
she did.
Okay, let's get into the nugget. Well, you got to snap out of it this morning, Raghunath. I know you're in pain, but we got a show to do, man. You all right?
Yeah. Okay. Where's your nugget here? Okay, this is from. Oh.
Yeah.
This is Victor Hugo. He wrote Les Mis.
That's right. Do you want me to tell you a little something about Victor Hugo?
Sure. Tell me about him.
Sometimes nicknamed the Ocean Man.
Really?
You
never heard that.
Yes, he was. Sometimes. He was a French romantic writer and politician. During a literary career that spanned more than 60 years, he wrote in a variety of genres and forms. He's considered to be one of the greatest writers of all time. His two most famous works were
Les Mis.
And?
Yeah, I know this. Someone put it on the board.
Well, what's the point of that?
The
Hunchback of
the Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a sad story too.
Well, he was at the forefront of the romantic literary movement. And he did a lot of, he produced more than 4,000 drawings in his lifetime. This guy did it all. And he campaigned for social causes, such as the abolition of capital punishment and slavery. He was given a state funeral in the Pantheon of Paris, which was attended by over 2 million people, the largest in French history. That's something, huh?
It's huge. 2 million people.
At a time, well, that must have been over the course of a week or something like that, you'd imagine.
Right. But still, just 2 million people showing up for a funeral is pretty impressive. I'll be lucky if I get 100. Ever think about that? Like, who's going to my funeral? Like, are people going to get on a plane and fly there? Or is it just going to be like low key?
That is really something, though. In 1885, before they had, lots of easy cars to get around and trains
or just getting the word out. Getting the word out.
Yeah.
It's not like they didn't have newspapers. Well, maybe.
They had newspapers.
Town criers. How did things go viral back then? They did. Things were viral.
Yeah. Okay, so let's hear what he had to say in the nugget.
Okay, here's what he had to say. To love or to have loved, that is enough. Ask nothing further. There is no other pearl to be found in the dark folds of life.
Okay. Thoughts, Raghunath, thoughts.
Well, I'm trying to figure out if he's talking. I mean,
whether he was
talking about love of this world, I guess.
The love of this world or the love of this. Either way, I think there's something here for us.
Why don't you comment on this first?
Okay.
You're the real romantic of
the romantic
couple.
one. Am I? I like the way he phrases it. I like the way that he says, even just this phrase, 3-word phrase, ask nothing further. There's something so, what's the word I'm looking for? It's healthy in that, to just be able to say, you know what, I'm not meant to ask unlimitedly, right? Like, find out what the essence of life is, key in on that, and ask nothing further. Be satisfied with what's most important, what's most essential. right? So he's, and he, you know, I don't know about the spiritual end of his life or anything like that. Let's assume he's talking about like the love of this world, right?
Sure.
Still, it's somewhat evolved to say what this is all about. You know, there's no other pearl to be found hidden. You stop searching and understand that really our purpose here has to do with love, right? Feeling it, sharing it, experiencing it, giving it. That's you know, even if someone can just kind of, with a kind of a clear sobriety, say this is what life is about. Don't worry about digging into everything else very much. Ask nothing further. To me, indicates that he's onto something. But I think if you want to apply this to the way that we see things, right, where we have a whole, you know, we've been saying, you know, this world is our university. Okay, so it's a university of what? In one sense, we're saying everything.
Are you going to say the University of Love? Is that what you're going to say?
No, I wasn't going to say that.
Okay.
But that's pretty good, right?
The University of Love. I got my PhD
School of
in love. I got my PhD in love.
That sounds like a really bad pickup line.
Double PhD in love. Huh?
What's your PhD? I got a PhD in love.
Especially when you double the length of the word, going love.
Love. What was I saying? Oh yeah, we've been saying that this is like a university. So what is it? How do we graduate? It really means that we're just kind of letting go of everything else, but you know, or let's say purifying ourselves of everything that hinders pure, capital L, spiritual love.
Yeah.
Right. The attachments that I have, the misconceptions that I have, the unfavorable sentiments that I have, I need to let them all go. Why do I let them all go? For the purpose of divine love, to experience really what I'm made to experience, you know, which is, and I'm searching for it in the love of this world, you know, like Victor Hugo's getting it. Like, yeah, this is what everybody, this is really ends up being the most essential, important thing. But when it's informed by Bhagavatam, you know, when this Victor Hugo understanding is informed, nourished, you know, empowered, permeated by the insights of the Bhagavatam, then it becomes so much even more meaningful. Right? That divine love is all we need. Ask nothing further. Don't ask for the things of this world. Don't even ask for liberation from the sufferings of this world. If the sufferings of this world are going to help qualify me for pure love, for pure divine love, then I accept them, right? I asked for nothing further. So I liked it. Victor was quite a man. What you got there, brother?
I'm gonna pass today. Have ever had one of those days you're like, I've got nothing to offer anybody?
That's okay.
But it's one of those things, like I said, take any love song in the material world and turn it towards Kṛṣṇa. So this is sort of, it sounds like he's talking about love of this world, but you can turn this towards God for sure. To love or to have loved, that is enough. It's almost like, you know, if you've felt some like deep taste of spiritual life, and even if it goes away, you have that remembrance. You know, I know we minister, I guess you can call us ministering to a lot of brand new people who are brand new to bhakti, but in time, and it wasn't in time, we find out that there's people who've been, you know, who've been practicing bhakti longer than we have, that tune into the show and they find like this, the podcast gives them a lift, and maybe they're not in keeping this highest standard that they were at one time, but they're finding some type of juice here. To all of you, I tip my hat, and we're here for you too. And we're all sort of like struggling to maybe get ourselves back to some higher caliber of perhaps where we once were, where we had that love. That's what I was thinking when I read this. When I read this, if you felt like that a time where everything was like you were right on track with your spiritual life, maybe people can find shelter in this verse, thinking, yeah, I've loved, I've actually had that taste. and we come on the podcast to lift it higher again.
Let me
That's
ask
why I'm
you a question.
Yeah.
And I do this with reservation. I ask you this question with reservations.
But I'll just blurt out everything I'm going through right now. Is that what you're talking?
No. There's other things
You're gonna
I'm afraid
puncture
you
the
may
giant
blurt out.
water balloon right now on the podcast?
No.
Go ahead.
I didn't
Get a
know
little
that
pin.
I had no idea that existed. I thought you were just physically suffering.
Okay, go on.
It's other things that you may blurt out. Les Mis, is there anything there that that coincides?
Oh my! Are you freaking kidding me?
I don't know anything about it that coincides with this point that love is everything and that there's no other purpose.
Everything is trash. I saw a good movie last night. I fell asleep.
I wasn't asking about that. I was asking.
Les Mis.
Yeah. Go ahead.
It's just like love in the material world. It's sad. It's just like it's sad.
We're gonna hit some verses today that you.
It's just sad. And Les Mis is one of those stories where this young lady meets like this dashing man, and they have a loving, the summer of love, and she gets pregnant, and he disappears. So she's raising this little child all alone. She has some dream that he'll come back. It's miserable. It's miserable. It's Les Mis. The material world is Les Mis. And hopefully you can keep that bubble of illusion going for a while until it gets really Mis.
Okay, well then you're gonna. I think you're gonna.
Don't get me going on miserable relationships.
No, we're heading right for the
Oh, we're diving right into that.
Yeah, well, a couple verses down.
That stew.
Actually, even immediately, we're diving right into it. Let's go. All
right.
Perhaps you're in this mood.
There is a spiritual love we're all reaching for here. Okay. There's a hot. Om Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan, and to Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, and to Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva bhadreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati utamashloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki. By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Dena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My teachers are opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet. Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Ooh, yeah. Canto 6, chapter 16, text 58.
59, I believe.
59. Bring me a higher love. What a poignant song, huh?
It is, Raghunath. So, we are still hearing from Lord Vishnu, just speaking truth to Chitraketu. Want to go with it? Ready?
Sure. Remembering the great trouble found in the field of activities, performed for fruitive results. Okay. Remembering the great trouble found in the field of activities performed for fruitive results. Okay. And remembering how one receives the reverse of the results one's desires.
That's a very interesting way to phrase it.
Well, like that. Because it doesn't necessarily mean you work hard, you make some money. It means you work actually hard for pleasure to make money. And so you make money. But it doesn't mean, so you might get the money, but you don't necessarily get all the pleasure that goes with it. Sometimes money really complicates your life, right. Could feasibly ruin your life. It could set you up to be robbed or cheated or strong attachment. Anyway, whether from material actions or from fruitive activities recommended.
Why don't you start it again? Because when you started
remembering the great trouble found in the field of activities performed for fruitive results, and remembering how one receives the reverse of the results one desires, whether from material actions or from the fruitive activities recommended in Vedic literatures, an intelligent person should cease from the desire for fruit of actions. For by such endeavors, one cannot achieve the ultimate goal of life. On the other hand, if one acts without desires for fruit of results, in other words, if one engages in bhakti, devotional activities, he can achieve the highest goal of life with freedom from miserable conditions. Considering this, one should cease from material desires. Whew. That's like the Bhagavad Gita right there. Can I work in this way, detached from the fruits without these expectations?
Yeah. Yeah, just interesting, this idea. If we were to be real thoughtful, sometimes thoughtful and honest, and sometimes it's even difficult to be honest with ourselves.
Mm.
But to say, you know, how many times have I strived for something? I had a goal in mind. I had a picture in my mind, right? I'm going to achieve this, and when I achieve this, I'm going to be happy. And then we achieve it, and then we find that little paradise that I saw at the other end of the rainbow, it never materialized the way that I had always envisioned it. As a matter of fact,
Sure.
even what I thought would bring me pleasure brought me pain. Right? So it's Lord Vishnu, that divine being behind everything, just saying, hey, open your eyes, think about this, right? This is the way the material world works. You know, even if I've cultivated good karma, even if things in this lifetime go relatively smoothly, you know, you can picture like many people in the world that are just like, it never manifested into what I hoped it would be. And it was like a lot of heartbreak, you know, and some people like it was straight out tragedy. And then there might be some people that say, you know what, I lived to the end, and it was a good life, and it was a happy life, and I'm ready to let go now. Even that requires some level of wisdom and detachment to be able to approach death that way, you know, and to really feel that way, you know. Otherwise, even if life went relatively smoothly for us and it was relatively pleasant, then death is terrifying. Now it's all going to disappear, and I have no idea what, you know.
Sure.
So, so in any case, it's going to for this to work smoothly, is going to require knowledge and detachment, and ultimately, because that's where it's all meant to send us, it's going to require devotion. Now, this is getting a little deeper here with text 60, Raghunath.
Okay. Text 60, as husband and wife, a man and woman plan together to attain happiness and decrease unhappiness, working jointly in many ways. But because their activities are full of desires, these activities are never a source of happiness. Interesting, huh? And they never diminish distress. On the contrary, they're the cause of great unhappiness. You know, it comes back to these Buddhist statements of desires causing pain.
Yes.
It's the desires and the expectations and the hopes that we've invested in. And it's like, you know, the Bhagavad Gita says a network of desires. It's like, it's not just one. We're trying to expand our desires. As you become more successful in the material world, your desires, oh, you got your house? I want to expand my house. I want to build on to my house. I want to acquire the neighboring properties. I want to get a house in another part of the world or another part of the country. It's not like, okay, now I've got to this point, this certain financial, economic landmark. Now it's like, I want to expand that. It doesn't stop. Where does it stop? When you meet people who actually have the resources, but they're just choosing, you know what? I'm going to live simpler. That's impressive, isn't it? You know, people, I know a few people like that, and it's usually not like that. It's usually to the degree they move up, they start to, now I'm going to get a nicer I got a watch now. It tells me time. Now I'm going to get a nicer watch. Now I'm going to get more of the same shoes, more, and now I'm going to, or they do it, and now I'm going to get 2 motorcycles or 3. It just expands. But there's certain people who have that foresight. It's not going to make me happy. I think my mom might be one of these people. Yeah.
Now, okay, so in these two verses, we've heard that our desires drive us to pursue pleasure, but we end up getting the opposite results.
Mm.
And this text got into the romance thing, you know, man and a woman, they envision this union that's going to bring them so much happiness, and then it can bring them distress.
Well, it's one of those class.
And it's giving a reason, right? It's saying because, again, it's like, for there to be happiness, there has to be a certain harmony, right? There has to be a harmony. And if I've got certain desires and you've got certain desires that are different than mine, you bring us too close together, there's a clash, you know?
Yeah.
And that's why what we always are recommending, like we say, two people holding hands walking towards divinity together, right?
Yeah, we do say that, don't we?
We do.
That's our thing. That's a shirt, man.
I'm telling you. But you could also look at it like, you know, it's like two different little solar systems, you know, with their desires revolving around them.
Mm.
And then, but the two decide, let's just connect and let's revolve around the sun, you know, like if together we decide that we're going to move around the center, then we could move in harmony. Mm. But if I'm trying to get you working around my center and you're trying to get me to work around your center, then that union brings distress. Yeah.
Well, it's one of these things that I got to start a couples pre-marriage counseling business on the side hustle. You know, you got to have all these things in a row. Like, what do you guys want out of this marriage? This is another thing, because sometimes you get together with a person, especially in America, get together over a romantic or sexual or physical attraction. And then when you sort of like get down to the nitty gritty, you actually have two different sets of desires. Right. And two different sets of expectations. People realize that after like dating for 2 years. Oh, you want kids? I have no desire for kids. Oh, you want to raise your kid religious? No, that's a no-go. Or sometimes they don't realize that because, well, my spouse isn't religious, but I am religious. And then they have kids, and then it becomes a whole thing. Are we going to raise the kids religious or not? Do you believe in a two-income family, or do you believe it should be a stay-at-home mom or stay-at-home dad? And so, yeah, when they're off point, when there's no center point, then it just becomes a plethora of like conflicting desires, and it becomes even nastier. At least I think this verse talks about people are at least on the same page, but their desires just become like they start to explode, and you get more and more and want more and more. And
I don't know if they were on the same page, Hugo.
Huh?
I don't know if they were on the same page. They thought they were on the same page.
As husband and wife and man and woman plan together to attain happiness. So they got the plans. So they're working together on a plan.
On paper.
Yeah. And they try to decrease the unhappiness, working jointly in many ways. But because their activities are filled with desires, these activities are never source of happiness. It seems like this is a good family working together with common goals, but they just want to expand. But whatever. The point is the same. Right. Even if Kṛṣṇa was a little off on this one, the point is the same.
Well, it's talking about all this distress, so something had to be there on some level. They weren't together.
Well, I'm just saying, like sometimes working for success of a business causes more. You're overwhelmed with the business, but it's successful. You know.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Or sometimes you're raising kids. It's part of the family plan, and one kid is a troublemaker. I mean, come on, you might have had a brother or sister, somebody out there, tell me. Or you might have been the troublemaker. You had everything's going good, the ducks in the row, the kids are all getting good, and there's one kid who's driving everybody crazy. Yeah, it was Brian. It was the chief.
Chief.
Yeah, but it's just like that. So it seems like you've done everything right. All the other kids are growing up great, but one kid is in and out of prison or on drugs. And my kids went out last night. Like we had this whole day. We went out all day in the city, all day. And then the cousins, my daughter and son, and the cousins are like, okay, we're going to go out. I was like, it's 9:30 at night. Where are you going to go? You know my statement, Raghunath's postulate number 7.
Nothing good.
Nothing good happens after 10 o'clock. And they're like, well, what do you think we're going to do? I was like, it's not what you're going to do. You're hanging out in the mode of ignorance. It's what anything. Anyway, they're old. I can't control them.
We're getting somewhere now. You're starting to let it out.
Let the air out of my balloon. Well, then I ever have these like premonitions.
Here comes the rest.
Well, this is what happens. This is what happened. Did you ever hear about these premonitions? Like, I knew something was going to happen to my child the day my child died. I knew that something was going to happen. I was gripped with fear and I felt it.
You had a premonition?
I did. I had some premonition of danger.
But there was none.
There was none. I fabricated the premonition in my head. I went to bed.
Okay.
Yeah. You and me were doing much more dangerous things, these guys.
Oh, come on, man. It's not even like...
You and I should be dead. We have a special little fairy angel protecting us.
It's like no comparison.
No comparison.
Okay.
But you know you can do now? You can track your kids. It's called the 365 family or something like that app.
How
put it
far
on their phone? Huh?
It doesn't matter how far would they go, so you can track them.
It's a GPS. You could tell them exactly where they're going at what time. You want a cell phone? Yeah, you got this app too. That's part of the deal. That's part of the package. It's like putting
so far out of my parents' zone of where they thought I was.
I know.
No idea.
My parents thought I was at the New York Philharmonic. Right. He's at the Philharmonic. Why is he coming back with torn pants and a black eye every weekend?
Okay. Text 6162. This is some heavy stuff.
One should understand that activities of persons who are proud of their material experience bring only results contradictory to those such persons conceive while awake, sleeping, and deeply sleeping. Let me read that again. I think you got to
read that again.
One should understand that the activities of persons who are proud of their material experience bring only results contradictory to those such persons conceive while awake, sleeping, and deeply sleeping. Did you understand that? Is it a run-on sentence?
Yeah,
it's missing a comma.
One should understand that the activities of persons who are proud of their material experience, they bring only results that are contradictory to those such persons conceived. Yeah, it doesn't need that. It sounds like now we're talking about other people or something like that.
Yeah.
Right? They bring results that are contradictory, whether it's while one's awake, sleeping, or in the state of deep sleep. It's contradictory to what they want, no matter what state of awareness they're in at the time.
If you're proud, persons who are proud of their material experience.
Yeah.
It's an issue.
It is an issue.
Persons who try to... Huh?
One should further understand.
Yeah. One should further understand. Didn't I read this? One should further understand that the spirit soul, although very difficult for the materialist to perceive, is above all these conditions, and by the strength of one's discrimination in this case means discernment, one should give up the desire for fruitive results in the present life and in the next, thus becoming experienced in transcendental knowledge. One should become my devotee.
It's kind of all there in two verses.
Yeah, it's like, right? You want to read the Bhagavad Gita, or you just want to read this verse? You just read this verse.
It's saying that, how many lifetimes do we have to go through before we kind of pick up on some patterns, right? Oh, the world looks like it's going to keep delivering, some kind of paradise-like happiness, but it always gets turned around, right? Somehow or other, it falls apart. The influence of time. But he says, but that's all right, because you can further understand that you, the soul, you're above all these conditions, that you have an existence above all. You just have to realize it. It's right there all the time, And so then get determined, use your discernment, focus, make the best of this opportunity that we have in this life. Let go of the desires for fruitive results that you've done in how many lifetimes before you learn the lesson. Learn it now. And thus become experienced in transcendental knowledge and become my devotee. Reconnect to that source. Start to rotate around that. There's good energy in rotating around that source, You spin around and you get in the gravity of of that, and you're feeling good. Now this is a really nice verse. This next verse, Raghunath.
Persons who try to reach the ultimate goal of life must expertly observe the supreme person, the supreme absolute person, and the living entity, who are one in quality in the relationship as part and whole. This is the ultimate understanding of life. There is no better truth than this. You know what I like about this one? It sets out different markers, like, oh, life has a goal. Most people are just floating around like goalless, rudderless, directionless. Sometimes they even have all the resources. They have the Lamborghini, but they don't know where to drive to.
Right.
There is a beginning, middle, and end of here. Where whatever you're coming into this world is, there is a final goal. There is a touchdown. Persons who try to reach the ultimate goal of life. It's amazing how we live in this world. We don't even understand that there is direction. It's just sort of like, I guess the direction for people is just like, have fun. Not everybody. There's all different things.
Find pleasure.
Justice, find pleasure. Get whatever you can, collect stuff.
But what this really struck me is, we were just discussing just the other day, I think it was on the Q&A that we did on Sunday, right? It said, what are we meant to learn? What are, persons who try to reach the ultimate goal of life must expertly observe what? What do you got to see? What is it that we're looking for? What is that we're meant to focus on? What should we be keeping our eyes open for? That this should observe the supreme absolute person and the living entity, that there's spirit underneath everything, right? There's spirit within each body. The universe is a body and it has a spirit, right? Who are one in quality in the relationship as part and whole. Oh, I am part of the whole, right? I'm one part. Just again, like if we're talking about a solar system, it has a sun in the middle, and then it has the planets that are going, everything has its part and it's all connected. Oh, if I just know my place, if I just understand how I fit, how I click in, this is the ultimate understanding of life. There's no better truth than this. Other ideas of where you find how you become complete or experience your completeness, those don't work. This is the one that works because it's the truth, and that was like, if you remember, we went to text 435, having obtained from Bhagavad Gita, having obtained real knowledge from a self-realized person, from a self-realized soul,
right?
You will never fall again into such illusion, for by this knowledge you will see, okay, what will you see? That all living beings are but part of the Supreme, or in other words, that they're mine, right? So it's the same message, right? This is the mystery of the universe here, right? Understand that you're part of something much larger, that your vitality, your happiness, your meaning is all in connection with this truth, in connection with this divine being that's behind everything. And through that divine being, your interconnectedness with everything is right there. It's waiting for us just to stop chasing these, pulling on every string and trying to find out, where is happiness under this rock? Is it under that rock?
Sure.
Just try to understand. Now, in the commentary to that text, 435, you want to talk about, you don't need to read the whole Gita, it's kind of right here. How about in just a few sentences? You'd like to hear this, Raghu?
Yeah, please.
He says, the whole teaching of the Gita.
What?
Yes, the whole teaching of the Gita. Raghunath,
thinking like
you and I are connected, right?
How are we connected? I thought I was connected with Prabhupada.
Well, I'm connected
you
with
jump into this couple.
Well, I'm the one that brought this up, right? I already had this sitting ready here to
I was having a moment with Prabhupada and you barged in.
Where's the moment? If I don't bring this forward, there is no moment, Bubba.
We were just
ready.
We were together there for a moment.
Okay, yeah. Let it go, Raghunath.
Okay, go.
Let's hold pinkies and read this commentary. The whole teaching of the Gita is targeted toward this end, that a living being, as Krishna's eternal servitor, We could say like loving servitor, right?
Yeah.
Like eternal lover, if that's going to not trigger the servitor word, right? But in any case, the whole teaching of the Gita is targeted toward this end, that a living being, as Krishna's eternal servitor, cannot be separated from Krishna. And their sense of being an identity apart from Krishna is called māyā, illusion. The living entities as separate parts and parcels of the Supreme, right? We're entirely connected with the Supreme, but we're separate. We are our own individual person with our own free will, right? But always connected, right? So we can't be separated from Krishna. The living entities as separate parts and parcels of the Supreme have a purpose to fulfill. Oh, very interesting. Okay. Haven't forgotten that purpose since time immemorial. They are situated in different bodies as men, animals, demigods, etc. Such bodily differences arise from forgetfulness of the transcendental service of the Lord. But when one is engaged in transcendental service through Krishna consciousness, one becomes at once liberated from this illusion. Boom, right there. Simple. Right?
Yeah.
Were you
Sorry,
paying attention?
I got a 9-year-old that just woke up.
Okay. So anyway, that's from the commentary of 435. Just a very nicely encapsulated meaning of our existence in this world. Right there.
Okay, this is text 63.
We got, that was 63.
I'm sorry, yeah.
We got 2 more verses left for this chapter.
64, ready?
Yeah.
O King, if you accept this conclusion of mine, being unattached to material enjoyment, adhering to me with great faith, and thus becoming proficient and fully aware of knowledge and its practical application in life, you will achieve the highest perfection by attaining me.
Nice.
Right?
Nice. I mean, there's just like, here's this
there's a
nice,
lot
clear, perfect instruction. Yeah.
Sure.
Let's go through it. If you accept this conclusion, what I've just been speaking, being unattached to material enjoyment. Okay, I've been going on since time immemorial, more lifetimes than I can remember, seeing pleasure through the senses, a connection of senses composed of material energy, contacting objects made of material energy, for the purpose of a sensation within the mind, which is made of very subtle material energy. Yeah. Thinking that is my path to success, happiness, fulfillment, etc. He's saying, let go of that idea. Be unattached to material enjoyment, adhering to me with great faith. To adhere means, it sounds almost like getting taped to something, right? Like adhesive. I'm going to look.
Adhesive.
Let me look up adhere. Adhere. To stick fast to a surface or a substance. To believe in and follow the practices of. Okay. So
the wise do not take part in the sources of misery, which are due to contact with the material senses. Interesting.
Yes.
The wise do not take part in the sources of misery, which
I just started pumping out Bhagavad Gita verses.
It's just like one of those things that everything that we think, well, this is the thing. Contact with the wise do not take part in the sources of misery. Misery. It's going to be something bad. Like what don't we do? We don't jump in fire. We don't walk on glass. Yeah. Close the door. We don't take part in the sources of misery. Why? And what are they? It's when you come into contact with material senses, because these so-called pleasures. Oh, you're saying we don't take part in pleasures? Why? Because they have a beginning and an end. They come and go, and then I'm left. When you're always concerned about losing your pleasure, it puts you in a state of anxiety. There can be no peace. So the wise do not delight in them. What's that? 528. Yehisham Sparsha Bogar.
Oh, Yehisham Sparsha Bogar. Yeah, was it? I always think 520 for some reason, but I think I'm wrong about that.
Everyone's got to join the
it's
Shloka
522.
Club.
522.
The Shloka Club with Nityananda Chandra.
An intelligent person does not take part in the sources of misery, which are due to contact with the material senses. O son of Kunti, such pleasures have a beginning and an end, and so the wise man does not delight in them. Okay, so here it's saying, let go of that idea. Be a wise person. Adhere to me with great faith. And thus become, what am I meant to become? Become proficient and fully aware of knowledge and its practical application in life. It's relatively simple. In one sense, it was summed up in that little section of that commentary that we just read. But, again, understand how the mind works. Understand how the mind and the body and the senses are composed of material energy, and how I'm a spark of spiritual energy. How I'm moving through a world made of it. Become proficient in just this understanding. And if you reflect on it and look into the world through the lens of it, you begin to say, click, click, click. It actually makes a whole lot of sense, and the more you reflect on it, the more that it becomes natural to see it that way. So you become aware, you become proficient, and with that, you learn its practical application in life, right? With great faith, and thus adhering to me with great faith, and thus becoming proficient and fully aware of knowledge and its practical application in life, you will achieve the highest perfection by attaining me. Okay, that once you're reconnected to that root, in terms of relief, but what to speak of in terms of bliss, you begin to experience what you've been designed to experience. The level of awareness that you're designed to experience, you experience it.
64.
Right?
Oh, 65. King. 65. Sri Sukadeva Goswami continued, after thus instructing Chitraketu and assuring him of perfection in this way, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the Supreme Spiritual Master, the Supreme Soul, Shankarshan, disappeared from that place as Chitraketu looked on. He's just like looking there, he appears, disappears. Unbelievable, huh?
Yeah. But, so now we've really gone on a trip. If we go back, the whole thing started with, Indra and all the troubles that he went through because he disrespected his own guru, Brihaspati. He went up and down, and it ended up, he did some really off things, killing a few people he shouldn't have killed, things like that.
Been there, done that, right? We've all been there.
Okay, he killed a few people he shouldn't have killed. One was a Brahmana. All right. Actually, two of them were Brahmanas. But in any case, so then part of what manifests as a result of Indra's poor decisions is that a demon takes birth, right? Born in the family of the Suras, and he's like fearsome, and he's born to battle with Indra. But in the course of that battle, all that comes out of his mouth and all that he says, Indra's just like shocked, like, oh my God, everything that he's saying is, this is a deeply realized spiritual devotee of Lord Vishnu. I thought he was an enemy of Lord Vishnu. I'm wondering if I'm an enemy of Lord Vishnu now. Like this person,
I do that on a regular basis. Like, am I divine or demoniac? Ever do that? Just like, wait a second, I might be the demoniac one.
Yeah, and ultimately Indra has to kill him, but he, Vritrasura dies, in a state of deep Krishna awareness, and so then when that chapter ends, Maharaj Parikshit asked Shukadeva Goswami, how did that demon become such a great devotee? It doesn't seem to make sense. When people are born in that lineage, usually they're just like totally dead set against Vishnu. He was totally into him. So, well, let me tell you a story about who Vritrasura was in the previous life. He was this king named Chitraketu. He had everything he wanted, but he didn't have a son. Right? And one sage, Angira, came and was able to perform a ritual wherein he had a son, but he said the son's going to give you happiness and distress. And shortly thereafter, the son was born, and shortly thereafter, the son died. And he just experienced the deepest pain that he could ever imagine. The deepest suffering, and in his intense grief, the sage Angira came back with the sage Narada. They gave him clear instructions, knowledge about who he is, about what the world is, about who we all are, and so on. And then to really blow everyone's mind, the little boy came back to life and spoke in complete detachment. You're not my father. Which father are you talking about? I've had
millions of fathers.
Yeah. So that was pretty stunning. And then Chitraketu, offered his appreciation to the sages Angira and Narada, how they've enlightened him in this state. Narada said, I'm going to give you a mantra to chant. I want you to chant this, with complete sincerity. And in 7 days, you'll see Lord Vishnu. And that's exactly what happened. And now Lord Vishnu has appeared. He offered prayers to Vishnu. Vishnu shared important instructions with him. Now Chitraketu is like on a whole new level of awareness. Next chapter, the level that he was on will be displayed, because he's going to get put into a very difficult circumstance, a circumstance wherein a lot of people would become upset, a lot of people would become bitter, a lot of people become angry, and we begin to see exactly where he's at. It's coming tomorrow. All right?
Yeah. Mara.
Okay. You all right?
You guys ready for some takeaways?
I'm ready.
Key into the essence of life and ask nothing further.
What was the first part of that?
Key
in.
Yeah, key into the essence of life.
Ask for nothing further.
Accept the sufferings that lead to divine love.
Bring them on. Hard to say that.
Yeah.
But bring them on. The deeply realized people say that.
Our network of ever-expanding desires cause distress.
Our network of ever-expanding weapons hidden amongst the house, among the house, cause distress to intruders.
We're all reaching for spiritual love.
Yeah.
Reaching out with the pinky.
Yeah. Two people holding pinkies walking towards divinity.
There you go.
There you go.
Harmonize around the true center.
That's the way.
That should be like the mudra, the wisdom of the sages mudra. Just like, and that way, like if you see somebody at a temple and you're not sure, do you know them from the podcast? Just go put up your pinky and just wiggle it. And they'll be like, oh yeah. And they'll come over and connect with your pinky.
That could be our logo.
That could be our logo.
Understand the ultimate goal.
There you go. Simple, but straight to the point.
Understand it.
Our identity apart from Kṛṣṇa is Māyā.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Adhere to Vishnu, not material enjoyment.
Okay.
And this material world is lame-as.
It's good. It is like this. Thanks everybody for joining us back in Super Soul tomorrow. Winding up everything. Getting ready for India. Whew. Okay, I gotta pack all these kids, get them up and go through New York City traffic. That's what I'm about to dive into.
You're leaving the city?
Huh?
You're leaving? You're going back upstate this morning?
Go back upstate right now before traffic. I just realized I'm going to go into rush hour. All right, everybody. Well.
Yes?
Looking forward to seeing you.
Yeah,
soon. It's winding down our new year. We went to Times Square yesterday. We went to all the classic tourist places. 30 Rock.
Did you go to the top of the rock?
Didn't go to the top of the rock, but my
the Christmas tree.
My brother's wife works there, so she took us up to one of the high floors, and
NBC.
She doesn't work at NBC. She's a lawyer. But my brother worked at NBC, so I've been up there. I was in an elevator with David Letterman once.
Yeah. Were you friends? Were you best friends?
No, but I think he would have liked me.
Well, that was your chance.
I was going to say, you want to be friends? But
isn't he on CBS or something?
I think he's retired now. I think he's retired. I did see a famous basketball player yesterday, but I don't know enough about basketball, but my nephews did. They're like, oh my God, that was... I was like, are you sure? He's just tall. Tall boy. All right, I have to go. I have to learn. I can't
You don't
gab
have
today.
to go around. Stay with us.
I can't gab today. There.
What are you doing today, Rago?
I'm driving
you
in
doing?
rush hour. Every minute I wait, the traffic doubles exponentially.
Does it?
It's like compound interest.
Oh, Mary's good. Mary, that was perfect. That was